What is up, guys? Today we're going to talk about one of the greatest warriors from Irish myth, one of the greatest memes from Grand Order, Fionn mac Cumhaill. But before we get to him, we gotta start off with his parents. On one side you have his father mac Cumhaill, and on the other side you have his mother Muireann. Cumhaill being a part of a band of warriors known as the Fianna. The Fianna was split into two factions, and Cumhaill was the head honcho of one of those factions. Now at the time, the groups in the Fianna were beefing with each other. So when winter came, they split up when they took shelter. One group stayed with the High King, while Cumhaill's side took shelter with the druid known as Tsiah. Tsiah, of course, had a daughter, and while he was there, Cumhaill had fell in love with the girl. So he asked Tsiah could he wife her up. I'm not sure why he did this. You know what's going through her father's head. This dude is trying to fuck my daughter. So her pop shut that down real quick. He was like, hell no, you can't marry my daughter. But the main reason was that Tsiah had a prophecy. Whoever his daughter married would lead to him losing his family seat. So up until this point, he was fighting people off his daughter left and right. You ain't getting this pussy today. This doesn't stop Cumhaill. Matter of fact, Cumhaill says, I got a better idea. This dude takes his daughter and runs away with her. So now Tsiah is feeling played. And you know what happens when people feel played? They go snitch. So he goes to the High King and says, hey man, this dude took my daughter. I need him clapped by tonight, homie. The king said, say no more, fam, I got you. The king then sends out his army to hunt Cumhaill down, which just so happens to be the other faction in the Fianna. So now the two groups in the Fianna are fighting each other. This was the Battle of Cumhaill. Cumhaill ends up getting killed, but the joke's on Tsiah, he got Muireann pregnant before he died anyway. So Tsiah, being the amazing father that he is, disowns Muireann and tells his followers to burn her alive. Lucky for her, the High King wasn't having it and put her in protection of Cumhall's sister. Muireann gives birth to her child, which of course would be Fionn. His real name, however, started out as Diemne. So for the next 6 years, Muireann leaves Fionn in the forest of Sleeve Bloom Mountains. During this time, Fionn's aunt and her homegirl raise him, teaching Fionn how to hunt and fight. By the time he turned 7, news got out that Fionn was still alive and people who killed his father were on their way to take his life. Since they had taught Fionn enough to fend for himself, they sent him on his way to ensure his safety. He makes his way into the real world. Here he starts to find work under different kings in that area. And every time he got comfortable, they would recognize that he's Cumhall's son and tell him that he needs to leave. We can't protect you. It was also around this time that he got the name Fionn due to his hair being of light color. He continues through the region till he meets up with Finnegas. See, for the past 7 years, Finnegas was out here trying to catch the salmon of knowledge. The reason being is that whoever ate this salmon gained all the knowledge from this world and the other world. Fionn offered to hunt and cook for Finnegas, and in return, the druid showed Fionn the true arts of poetry. Not too much later, Finnegas finally caught the fish and told Fionn to cook it. However, he also told him don't eat the fish, don't taste test the fish, don't put no seasoning on the fish. Just cook the damn fish, cause whoever gets the first taste, they get the knowledge, and that's it. I'm pretty sure you guys know where this is going. Apparently Fionn burned himself while he was cooking the fish and stuck that same finger in his mouth to cool it down. Now in his defense, he had no idea that this counted as eating the fish, but it did. When Finnegas found out what happened, he just let Fionn get the rest of the salmon. And there you have it. From this point on, all Fionn had to do was bite down on his thumb and he'd know the answer, or he'd be able to see into the future. After this, he makes his way to the Hill of Tara. This is where the High King was located, and he made it just in time for the yearly Samhain feast. It was a feast that gathered the nobles, the wisest, and the most skilled men throughout Ireland. But the king was going through some problems. See, every time they had this feast, a creature would come from the other world, put everyone to sleep, and burn the palace to the ground. Unbeknownst to them, this was the divine spirit known as Aelin. He would put everyone to sleep by playing his harp, then go back to the other world, leaving the entire place in ruin. Fionn decides to check it out. He stays awake by leaning the tip of his spear against his face. When everyone fell asleep this time, Fionn followed the creature, and when it tried to run away, he managed to take off its head. The king then hooks Fionn up by giving him leadership of the Fianna. Even Gall Mac Morna, the same man that killed Fionn's father, put his hatred aside and pledged his loyalty. Time passes, and Fionn goes on to meet his first wife. So, a man wanted to marry this woman, and she turned him down. So he turned her into a deer. Fair enough. This is where Fionn comes in. One day he was walking through the woods with his hounds, and he ran into this deer. And since his hounds also used to be human, they were able to understand her situation. Fionn takes the deer back to his territory, she turns back to her original self, and the two get married. Unfortunately, one day Fionn was away from home, and the man who turned her into a deer the first time came back and turned her into a deer again. It just doesn't stop, does it? When Fionn made it back home, he realized she was gone and never ran into her again. Years later, he finds a kid out in the woods and recognizes that it was their child. He takes the boy into his care and raises him accordingly. Time passes. Fionn is now up in age and getting ready to marry his third wife, Grania. This was also known to be the High King's daughter. Now Grania, on the other hand, isn't feeling too hot because Fionn is old and dried up. She doesn't want him. Instead, she had way more interest in his subject, Diarmuid of the Love Spot. This is due to his love spot that made any woman go crazy for him. She tells Diarmuid that they should run away together. He turns her down, but she managed to convince him in the end. They take off, and Fionn sends his men to go hunt them down. After constantly being chased down, Diarmuid's father convinced Fionn to let the situation go. Now later on, Fionn sets up a boar hunt and invites Diarmuid. Here we go again. Diarmuid ends up getting fatally injured, and since Fionn had the magical thumb, anyone who drank water from his hands would be healed of their injury. But when Fionn brought the water to Diarmuid, he let it slip through his hands on purpose. Guess he didn't let it go after all. So this man is pretty much on the ground, dying out, and Fionn is just trolling him. Yo, that shit sound funny as fuck. I could help you, but I won't. When he finally decided to give Diarmuid the water, it was too late. Diarmuid had already passed away. Now in the Fae verse, his subordinates were so disappointed that it led to a war within the Fianna. Again. And Fionn himself ended up losing his life the same way as his father. Like father, like son, huh? In the real world, Fionn is said to still be alive in a cave with the rest of the Fianna. And when Ireland needs their help the most, they will wake up and come save everybody. And for those who have watched Fate Zero, the reason his appearance in Grand Order is different is because in Grand Order, he was summoned closer to his prime. That about wraps it up. If you enjoyed the video, please like it up so we can get this trending. Feel free to add information as you see fit, and let me know what you guys think about it. It's your boy Tsiah. I'm out.
What you want? You a house, you a car, 40 acres and a mule, a piano, a guitar, anything. See, my name is Lucy, I'm your dog. Motherfucker, you can live at the mall. I can see the evil, I can tell it. I know it's illegal, I don't think about it. I deposit every other zero, thinking of my partner, put the candy pen in.